My name is Emma, and I never imagined how drastically my life would change after marrying John. I was a 32-year-old career woman, dedicated to my work and accustomed to a structured, independent life. It was my best friend who convinced me to step out of my comfort zone and attend a group blind date, which led me to John. His kind smile and genuine nature captivated me, and soon we were inseparable. Just 1 year later, we tied the knot, excited to embark on a shared journey. But neither of us could foresee the challenges ahead. At first, everything was perfect. Our wedding day was magical, and the honeymoon was filled with laughter and dreams for the future. Moving into our cozy apartment together felt like the start of a beautiful chapter. Life as newlyweds was fresh and exhilarating. We went on spontaneous dates, cooked together, and dreamed of building a family. Yet life has a way of throwing unexpected challenges your way. 2 years into our marriage, tragedy struck. John's father passed away suddenly. The news shook us to our core, especially John's mother, Linda. Her grief was profound, and while we tried to support her emotionally, we soon discovered she was struggling in ways we hadn't imagined. Linda had accumulated significant debt after being scammed by someone who took advantage of her trusting nature. She was left with nothing but financial burdens and an overwhelming sense of helplessness. John, being the compassionate person he is, immediately stepped up. "We can't let her face this alone," he said. I agreed, and together we decided to use our savings to pay off Linda's debts. It felt like the right thing to do, but it also meant putting our own dreams, like buying a house or starting a family, on hold. Despite the sacrifice, we were hopeful that this would be a turning point for her. However, Linda's response surprised us. Instead of gratitude, she seemed to expect more from us. "If I get into trouble again, you'll help, won't you?" she asked one day. John's polite but hesitant response did little to curb her reliance on us. Her words planted a seed of unease in me, but I brushed it aside, determined to keep the peace. Life took another unexpected turn when John was injured in a car accident. He was hospitalized for weeks, and I found myself juggling work, hospital visits, and managing our household. It was during this time that Linda's actions began to raise red flags. When I finally visited her after John's recovery, I discovered that the money we had painstakingly saved for her future was gone. She had spent it frivolously on luxuries she didn't need. "How could you do this?" John asked, his voice laced with frustration. "That money was for your security." Linda laughed nervously and shrugged. "I didn't mean any harm. I just saw some things I liked and, well, here we are." Her casual dismissal left us both stunned. It was as if she didn't understand the gravity of her actions. Seeing no other option, we invited Linda to live with us. We hoped that having her close would make it easier to manage her finances and ensure she didn't fall into further debt. At first, things seemed to improve. Linda helped around the house, and our meals together were filled with laughter. But the harmony didn't last. 6 months into our arrangement, Linda's attitude shifted. She began to demand more from us, treating me as though I were her personal assistant. "Emma, why haven't you cleaned my room yet?" she'd say, her tone sharp. "Don't forget to prepare dinner by 6 p.m. I don't like waiting." I tried to remain patient, reminding myself that she was grieving and adjusting to her new life. But her demands grew more unreasonable by the day. She would criticize my cooking, complain about the way I folded laundry, and accuse me of being lazy despite my long hours working from home. John, caught between his love for his mother and his loyalty to me, struggled to mediate. The breaking point came when Linda's daughter, Melissa, paid us a visit. From the moment she arrived, the tension was palpable. "Emma, what have you been doing to my mother?" Melissa asked, her voice dripping with accusation. Taken aback, I replied, "I've been doing everything I can to support her." But Melissa wasn't convinced. Mom says you're controlling her, keeping her from spending her own money. I was speechless. Linda nodded in agreement, adding, I've been feeling so stifled lately. It's like I'm a prisoner in my own home. John immediately came to my defense. That's not true, and you know it, he said firmly. Emma has done nothing but care for you. But Melissa and Linda were relentless. If Emma weren't here, things would be so much better, Melissa declared. Maybe it's time she left. Her words hit me like a punch to the gut. I looked at John, hoping he would put an end to this madness, but he seemed as torn as I felt. If that's how you feel, I said, my voice shaking, I won't stay where I'm not wanted. Packing my bags was one of the hardest things I've ever done. As I left, Linda and Melissa's smug expressions only deepened my pain. But John's quiet support gave me strength. We'll figure this out, he whispered. I'm not letting you go. What they didn't know was that John and I had been preparing for this moment. Before leaving, John revealed the truth to Melissa. The house she was so eager to claim wasn't owned by Linda. It was a rental, and the lease was in John's name. Melissa's confidence faltered as she realized the implications. But you said this was our family home, she stammered. John handed her the lease agreement. It's not. And since you've decided Emma isn't welcome, we're leaving. The rent is now your responsibility. Linda and Melissa's shock was almost comical. You can't do this, Linda protested. Where will we go? That's for you to figure out, John replied, his tone resolute. Emma and I deserve better than this. As we walked away from the house, I felt a mix of relief and sadness. We had fought so hard to support Linda, only to be met with ingratitude and betrayal. But I also felt a renewed sense of hope. John and I had each other, and that was enough. In the weeks that followed, we started rebuilding our lives. We moved into a small but cozy apartment, far from the drama we had left behind. For the first time in months, I felt at peace. John and I spent our evenings cooking together, watching movies, and dreaming of a future free from the shadows of the past. But the story didn't end there. One day, I received a call from Linda. Her voice was trembling. Emma, I'm so sorry, she said. We didn't realize how much you were doing for us. Please, can we start over? Her apology felt genuine, but I knew that trust would take time to rebuild. We'll see, I said cautiously. For now, John and I were focused on our own happiness, and that was more than enough. As the weeks passed, John and I began to feel more settled in our new life. We focused on our careers and spent weekends exploring new hobbies. It was liberating to live without the constant strain of family drama. Still, Linda's apology lingered in my mind. While I was hesitant to trust her again, a small part of me hoped that her remorse was sincere. One afternoon, while John was at work, I received a letter in the mail. It was from Linda. Inside was a handwritten note and a photograph of her and Melissa standing in front of a modest apartment building. The note read, Emma, I wanted to show you that we're trying to make things right. Melissa and I have moved into this small apartment. It's not much, but we're making it work. I've also started a part-time job to help with the bills. I know I've made many mistakes, but I hope you can see that I'm trying to change. Love, Linda. The letter left me conflicted. On one hand, I felt a sense of validation. Linda and Melissa were finally taking responsibility for their lives. On the other hand, I wasn't sure if their newfound independence would last. I shared the letter with John that evening, and he seemed equally torn. What do you think? He asked. I think it's a step in the right direction, I replied. But it'll take more than a letter to rebuild trust. John nodded. Maybe we can meet them halfway. Let's invite them for dinner, a neutral place where we can talk. A week later, we met Linda and Melissa at a small, family-owned restaurant. The atmosphere was tense at first, but as the evening went on, the conversation became more relaxed. Linda admitted to her past mistakes and expressed genuine regret for how she had treated me. Melissa, though less forthcoming, nodded in agreement. "We've learned a lot since you left," Linda said. "It's been hard, but it's also been humbling." While the dinner didn't resolve everything, it felt like a small step toward healing. For the first time in a long time, I felt hopeful about the possibility of mending our relationship. John and I agreed to keep the lines of communication open, but with firm boundaries in place. We weren't ready to let them back into our lives completely, but we were willing to give them a chance to prove themselves. As I look back on everything we've been through, I'm reminded of the importance of resilience and self-respect. Life is unpredictable, and relationships are often messy, but standing up for yourself and prioritizing your own happiness is always worth it. John and I have grown stronger as a couple, and while our journey hasn't been easy, it has taught us invaluable lessons about love, family, and forgiveness.